So our next speaker is Aleksandra Arcipowska from BPIE here in Brussels. And I mentioned earlier this data hub, the online portal which we have launched last year and where we are now adding a few new features. And Aleksandra will talk about that. And she will also talk about a new function which we have launched on the build-up community. But I don't want to tell too much before Aleksandra has a chance to talk in her own words about it. So Aleksandra, I'll hand the microphone over to you.
Thank you very much, Oliver, for introduction. Good morning, everyone. Indeed, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the BPIE experience of data collection, European buildings data collection. I'm happy that Oliver already mentioned a few activities that BPIE done over last years. You might be all familiar with the big data survey that was conducted next to the discussion on the recast of the EPBD directive in 2010, when BPIE launched the big survey and then published the results in the flagship report on the Europe's building under the microscope. We actually last year in November decided to put all data we have collected in this exercise of 2010 on the online data hub, which address you can find on the presentation. And since a year we are really collecting data through the data hub and learning a lot about the data collection process. Having this in mind, we decided this year to launch in the summer the survey. We called it Survey 2013, but this survey has a little bit different character in comparison to this previous survey. We decided, as the discussion on the building stock data is getting really dynamic and on the buildings regulation, we decided to refresh the information that we already have in place on the data hub. But we also decided to collect several new information to really help the monitoring of the EPBD implementation process on the member states level. We are in the moment in the middle of the survey. We can already show you the first results that are already available from yesterday morning on our data hub. And at this point I would like to thank to our 13 partners who already provided data to our data hub, and you can already see and use this data. This data, of course, will be improved over the years because there are still gaps, but you can see it. I will not mention all the partners because there are 13, but I hope you will have a chance to see it. One additional goal of the survey 2013 was for the BPIE to identify the key sources of the building stock data and also to analyze the gaps that we actually have to face. We analyzed different data sources for Europe, and there is one conclusion. There are many and there are diverse data sources for the European building stock for Europe. There are different initiatives like Concerned Action, who is providing good information on the policy implementation of the EPBD directive. There are research projects that provide us with both policy information and the building statistics, which are really very important for the data collection process in Europe. But obviously there are also official sources of information. We have a big census every 10 years in Europe that gives us good overview on the building statistics for the housing sector. And we also have the EPC registers that has been mentioned in a previous presentation and which are actually the key for the data collection for the energy performance information. But obviously there are many other issues going on. We try to explore this information, but probably today is not the time to give you details of any of those sources. But there is one conclusion, that there is no official repository of the European buildings data in Europe. We have dispersed information, but no one central official place where the data could be found. The next slide that I already showed you for a second gives simply a print screen from the recent report that GBPN has published about the data quality across the whole world. in the different regions. Just to make it simple, not to go into details, you have to take into consideration that the bigger the area is, the better the data, the better availability of the data in the different regions. We know that in Europe we are trying to be ambitious with the European legislation, but the data, especially for non-residential sector, is still missing. Quick overview on the results of the survey 2013. We actually check the data availability according to the different indicators for Europe. You can see on this spider chart the number of countries that we managed to gather the data for different indicators. And you can see that the indicator that scored the best, both for the residential and non-residential sector, is the total floor area by building type. We are actually happy that we can get this information. There are official information for non-residential buildings. Sometimes some expert estimation are needed, but in general, this is a very good quality of data, and this is mainly thanks to the census that is conducted. We just had in 2011 a census across Europe, so you can find already on the Data Hub some updated data taking into account the results of the census. What has to be said at this point is that the census is conducted on a member state level according to the member state methodology. And we face the fact that there are different definitions used, for example, for the useful floor area across Europe, which is a big problem for the harmonization of the data and later on for comparing of the data as we are working on the indicators that are in principle differently gathered. One other slide on the information that we managed to gather on energy performance. This is exactly the same structure. We are seeing here that the different countries that we managed to find the information for energy consumption per different end use, but also U values. We are having in place in Europe the building code since many years, so somehow we see that it's much easier to gather the information on the U values for our building stock. It is maybe also a reason that because there is a big project Tabula going on that is really trying to get this information, but this information are somehow available for at least half of the member states. But the situation looks not so beautiful for energy consumption for the different end use. We see that for energy consumption for heating, we scored the best. We found 16 member states having this data complete per building time and age band. But for the other end use, the information is lacking. And it's really sad to know that the EPC registers are not a mandatory obligation. If they were mandatory, we would probably have much more information about the European building stock, as the Energy Performance Certificate Register are the key source for this information. Just a few words that you can already visit the Data Hub and see the updated version, updated information on some of the building stock statistics, some of the new information about the building performance, but we also try to gather some information for the policy information, especially for the compliance. There are also some features. Now I will just show you briefly a very short movie, just that you see a demo how to work within the Data Hub. You can see that you can select the statistics according to your preferences. You can customize the view. You can select the country. You can select the indicators that you are interested to explore. And you can also select the type of building. And this is the search that was already available. We only now improve the data, and we also add several features. Once you already have a view, you can customize the final graphs. You can do the conversion of the different units. But what is also very important for us, you can give a feedback on the data. And if you have better data, please let us know. Because we are for transparency, we are offering also that everyone who wants can download the data in the raw format and use it for the research use. We implemented also the country portfolios, and where we are mentioning the name of our partners on the member state level. And what we, I think, believe is very important, we also gather all the other sources of the buildings data that we found, and we put them in one place on one of the sub-page. We also want to gather all the publications that can be searchable in the search engine, that everyone who is interested could contact us and add the information, and we will build all together one repository of data. And there is also a data community that we establish on the BuildUp platform that is launched today officially. And I'm very happy to announce that we are going to work on it now and develop it, and we will be very happy if you could join us, and if you will decide to support us to improve the building stock statistics for Europe. Thank you for your attention.